Hi, I'm Jamie. This is Dead Dodge Garage, and this is the greatest revival project of all time. I'm kidding, of course. Or am I? You may well recognize this 1985 Chrysler LeBaron GTS, whatever that means. If you saw my Superbird video, this is the car I hauled back from Spokane on that crazy trip. It was this car that made me realize that although I built my Ram truck for A-bodies, it's actually perfect for K-cars. I've been informed by multiple commenters that this is not a K-car, it's an H-body. I don't care, it's still a K-car derivative. This was one of the first cars we had to remove to get the Superbird and all of its stablemates out of that garage. And everyone involved was like kind of weirdly excited about this thing. Probably because it's absolutely mint. Well, kinda. Maybe because it's got 64,394 original miles. Maybe it's the time capsule aspect. You don't see these things in this kind of shape anymore. Or maybe it was all a big joke. I don't know. Anyway, I'm still kind of excited about it, and I really don't know why. This car was last licensed in 2003, and there's an insurance card in the glove box that matches with that as well. It did have one flat tire. I think that wheel is in the trunk, but I'm not totally sure. Given that the GTS moniker was reserved in the 60s for really good Dodge Darts with exciting engines, we're bound to find something cool under the hood here. Right? Right? No. It's a standard naturally aspirated 2.2. It does have electronic fuel injection, which basically just means it's probably not going to run. 64,000 miles, and they already had to do the air conditioning belt delete because the bearing in this thing is just gone. I have never seen such a thing. Wow. Also, the compressor seized, so there's that. Critters were certainly an issue at this place, so I'm sure the electrical system is in perfect shape. Looking at the battery here, it's a federated, which is not anything we see in this part of the world. They removed the tag for 4, July of 4, so I wonder if that was 2004. Maybe he was keeping it running at that time, I don't know. That could be 94, which would mean this battery was 9 years old when the car was parked. I don't know, it doesn't look like the early 90s to me, but I could be wrong. Rat poop. Given that I'm a pretty hardcore Mopar guy, it might surprise you to learn I've never had a K-car. In fact, I've never even had a K-car experience, so this will be a first for me. I know I said this is an electronic fuel injection system, but frankly, it barely qualifies. This is a TBI setup, throttle body injection. That means there's one injector here at the top that dribbles fuel down the throttle body's throat. I've been advised by my friend David, who actually does have experience with these hunks of garbage, that a common issue with these is the Hall effect sensor. Those things will fail and then there's no fuel signal anymore. Apparently it's standard operating procedure to carry a spare one of those around in the glove box. So that's one concern. Personally, my main worry is whatever's in the fuel tank. This thing's been sitting for 20 years and it seems unlikely that the gas will be any good or the fuel pump will be happy about it. And my other worry as always is bees, but that's unrelated. Someone asked recently what flavor of buzzy creatures these are. They're paper wasps. Terrible, hateful insects. Anyway, as mentioned, everyone who's seen this car absolutely loves it. So here's my basic plan. Try to make it run. If it runs, try to drive it. If it drives, I'm going to wash it, lovingly detail it, try and get the right wheel back on the left front, just in general fully restore this thing and prepare it for daily driver duty. Not for me. Ugh. But Laura Lee here at Rocket needs a daily driver and thinks this looks just about perfect. I don't even know why I hit this pedal. It sort of does something. That'll be fun to deal with. Why does it say front drive in the gauge cluster? Was that important to know and remember at all times? Okay, I have some questions. Question 1. Why is this? It's just a random chunk of rusty metal in a bag. Question 2. You think these are still good? Random light in the K-car? Still works. Nice. We might well need that later. Ah, Chrysler quality. Cup holder. That's cool. Also, there's like an ashtray thingy with more treasures. Nice. I found this. It's a drop-in coin holder. Cool. Also, there's a bat on the shifter. Mirror delete. Common feature. A wallet straight out of the 90s, which is unfortunately empty. I don't know what's going on here. More snacks. Getting hungry. Oh. The gas door actually opens itself when you pull the thingy too. Let's just rip this Band-Aid off now and see what things are like. Oh yeah, they're exactly how you think they are. Oh. The likelihood of this engine running on that fuel happily, low. But the possibility of it running is more than zero. I gotta think about this, because the last thing I want to do in life is like drain one of these tanks. Of course, this thing does have a disappointing automatic transmission. The dipstick was actually missing, and we found it on the ground under the car, so it was reinstalled. There is still fluid in there, and the fact that it's massively over full is a good sign. A good bit of that will have come from the torque converter. We might not even have to add too much fluid. It might just work. Looking in here for rat's nests might be smart. I'm gonna get some kind of disease from this thing. I already see that coming. Huh? No, we're good. Tom and I pushed it away from the Coronet sedan slightly. That thing's full of bees, but they're still on this thing, trying to find a new home. I did take the liberty of checking the engine oil. It's perfectly full, very clean, and smells like almost new oil. So we're gonna say that's fine. Cooling system, slightly low, but also ignorable. It's only been 20 years. I'm sure this is fine. This car was sitting inside, so it's not like horribly rotten or dank or anything. Obviously there was the critter issue. I'm pretty sure mechanically, this thing's just fine. Tom asked what the chances of this battery being any good are. Low. No time like the present. I hear the door dinger already. Oh, stop it. I see gauge lights. At least one. Yep. Drifty field burnouts in like 10 minutes. Of course, that's if the fuel pump survived. And that's a pretty big if. Note, there was just a bit under a half tank of fuel when this thing was last run. Okay, good. Most of it's gone now. Maybe all of it. That's impressive. Did you hear that noise when I turned the key on? That is a priming fuel pump. And I don't think there's any fuel in it at all. Okay, cool. We can put some fresh gas in this thing, and I bet it just fires up. Okay, stop dinging. Thank you. Slosh test confirmed. There's like no gas in there. Yeah, this is too easy. This might be ethanol free, which is definitely too good for this car, but here we go. Okay, this is gonna take a while. It's still an old school Mopar key. That's cool. Anyway, I think I got like 1.5 gallons or 2 gallons in there. So let's see what the pump sounds like now. Weird. It only primed once. Well, let's just see what happens. Nothing good yet. I was kind of hoping to see the oil pressure gauge move. There, it primed again, but it still sounds dry. Might need some more gas. Oil pressure! Come on, do something. There it goes. Awesome. Got some oil pressure. The engine doesn't sound any happier yet, but that's still good. God, I hate that dinging. I don't think there's enough fuel in the tank. I think it all evaporated over that 20-year period, and there's just nothing left. And that 1.5 gallons or whatever I got in there was not enough to fully saturate the sock. We could have many other issues. Is it like a good sign that this thing has obviously been disassembled when it's only got 64,000 miles? Bosch. Made in Germany. I could be wrong, but it sure looks like that system just bolts right on where a carburetor would have been. Here are the fuel hoses right on top. Pressure and return to the tank. I was hoping to find some kind of pressure test port. No such luck. So maybe I'll just pop this off and prime the thing and see if anything comes out. Should the main fuel hose be horribly dry rotten and disintegrating? Asking for a friend. All right, watch your eyes here, just in case. Come on. Come on. Oh. What a pain. Nothing. Smells like horribly bad gas. That checks out. Keep an eye on that fuel hose while I prime this thing and tell me if anything happens. If it does, it'll be a huge, horrible mess. Not a bit. All right, I added another gallon to the tank and I've got my assistant sitting behind the wheel, so he's gonna turn the key on and we'll see if gas goes everywhere. That did nothing. Still nothing.
Where'd the pump go?
I don't think that is the pump. I think that's the idle valve.
Should I crank it?
Sure. Longer than that. Okay. Maybe the pump isn't working and that noise is all I was hearing. As you may know, I kind of know some things about Chryslers. I know a good bit about Chrysler EFI systems from the 90s especially. This is a little different than that. There's a collection of relays over here. I recognize at least one of those as the starter relay, the same type that was used on trucks in the 80s. I don't know what's going on with the other ones, and I haven't been able to find any documentation that matches this setup. Incidentally, I actually have a phone-a-friend on K-Cars, or whatever this thing is. My friend David, he sent me over a diagram from a later car, like an early 90s model. It's similar, but the relays are a different type, and there are more of them. I've searched around online, and I cannot find anything that resembles this. Okay, I'm becoming enlightened. There's a computer-looking thing under the hood, but apparently that's called a power module. And this thingy in the passenger side kick panel is called a logic module. Above this thing is a map sensor, yes, under the dash, for some reason. And up here, in the area I definitely can't reach right now, apparently there is an ASD, auto shutdown relay. Chrysler used those to power their injection systems for many years. I wanted to get in there and test the relay. Can't reach it, can't see it, might be really difficult, but I have devised another way to do that. As in TBI vans and trucks in the late 80s and early 90s, the coil and the fuel pump are both powered by that ASD relay. So I can turn the key on and check coil positive for power. Or alternatively, I can backfeed power through there and see if fuel starts pouring out of that hose. Listen for the tone change on the ridiculously annoying power probe. It is actually priming. And if I power it up here, nothing happens ever. So I guess we've got a bad fuel pump, which is not ideal. That humming emanating from the idle air valve as it goes through its little reset procedure on key on really sounded like a fuel pump that was running, but it wasn't. I do have one trick up my sleeve. It's a technique that served me well over the years on various dead vehicles. Crank the engine or power up the pump directly, and then horse kick the fuel tank. I've got to go find a helper to complete that step. The one time I'd rather be working on a Pinto. Instead of being right at the back here, the fuel tank is there. Great. Tom's getting me a big rubber mallet. I'm going to beat the tank savagely while he powers up the pump with the power probe, and hopefully it magically starts running again. Are you surprised that it's stuck? I'm not, but still, a little disappointing. I may have figured out why there's like a whole exhaust system sitting in this car. Oh no! There's a bunch of like rat stuff in that. Good news, everyone! Well, kinda. There's some kind of power getting back here, but nothing seems to be happening. Also, the gauge sender's dead. I tried to juice this thing up with the power probe, and nothing happened. Looking at this, I think I can actually get the sending unit and pump out. So now I'm gonna do that. It's gonna be really funny if I do all this for no reason and the thing's like blown up, isn't it? In case you were wondering, this is just like straight murdering my neck. Come on. Okay, I need more hands. Somehow got the hoses off. Come on, no gas bath. It wouldn't be the first time. This one would be particularly smelly though. Come on, dude. Not much room to operate here. I did get it loose somehow and no gas came pouring out, so that's good. But I can't actually remove it from the tank. I may have to drop the tank like a couple inches to make clearance. There's like a link that goes right here in front of it. Oh, gas just started pouring out of there. Ugh. Through a crazy series of movements I'll never be able to recreate, I got it to here. It still doesn't want to actually come out of the tank. I'm sure the float arm is what's hanging us up. And I don't really want to ruin that, but Also, I'd like to get this out sometime. Okay, I got it. Ugh. This thing smells. First off, this thing has definitely been replaced before. This is a Gates clamp that has been reclamped multiple times. It's right in the way of the float arm, which may be why the gauge isn't reading. It's not coming up. This is kind of amazing and very disgusting. Note the pump sitting in like a foam blanket. That's pretty common, but I've never seen one just melt before. Okay, here's my pump testing rig. I've got some wires run over here to the jump box connectors, and as you can see, I'm getting a little zap when I connect this. Not a dead short, just a little zap like there is some load. And you probably won't be able to hear this because there's a pressure washer going over there, but every time I connect it, I can hear the pump go, heh, 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 but it won't actually turn. The chances of this actually ever working are pretty low, but I'm gonna give cleaning the pump a try. As you can see, it needs it. Well, I've beaten it, and I've sprayed it, and I've beaten it some more, and I've thrown it across the field, and no such luck. So I'm going to leave it sitting here soaking with some magic brake cleaner. I'm not expecting this to work, so we'll probably just go ahead and order a pump. So we're going to order a fuel pump for this stupid thing. O'Reilly wants like $110.
108.
Or, you know, you could just hop on Rock Auto for 12 bucks. Which province in China makes Ultra Power brand pumps? So Tom ordered a fuel pump on the slow boat from Rock Auto, and we'll get that like next week. Meanwhile, I went off to film something else, started digging into the parts pile that came home with the Superbird and the other cars, including this one. Guess what I found? A used fuel pump in a box, which I'm pretty sure was the box for that fuel pump. Guess what though? That one works! So, I guess we do have a show. Really glad I checked this now. That's the return line, that small 1/4-inch steel line, and there was some kind of check valve on the end of it. Hopefully it wasn't necessary because it was clogged solid and I kind of blew it off with pressurized air trying to clean it. So I'm just gonna leave it that way. I think having that plugged, deadheading the pump and cranking the pressure up probably would have been worse than whatever not having it'll do. Oh yeah, Carter. That came out of that very box. That is so funny. I know it was a really long time ago because it says made in USA. Anyway, good riddance to bad rubbish. God, come off of there. Dude, this disintegrating foam goo is the worst. Horribly sticky and nasty. Anyway, I get to replace this fuel hose now because it's kind of bad. Shocking, I know. There you go. Like it never happened. Yes, I deleted the horrible gooey blanket thing. I did kind of sort of get the float to move too, and I moved that clamp, so it's possible we'll have a working fuel gauge now, but I don't know. This thing's still kind of gnarly. I'm going to crawl under there, ruin my neck some more, and shove this thing back in the fuel tank. Make sure the gasket goes back in there. Oh, this smells terrible. It's occurred to me, the astute amongst the viewership will have already done the same mental gymnastics I did, and realized that if they changed this pump, well, they probably had a reason for that. Now it seems to work, and of course, the one that was in it did not. So I'm going to take a gamble and shove this thing back in there and hope for the best. If it doesn't work, well, we've got a $12 replacement on the way, so that's fine. One does have to wonder, though, if they replace this pump, did it actually fix whatever problem they had? Don't know. How did I get this out of here? Oh, wait, hold on. Maybe like this and then, okay. All right. Oh, come on. If I ever meet the man that decided putting these pumps in fuel tanks was a good idea. Oh, he's gonna wish I hadn't. Cram that in there. Yes. There we go. Yeah, it's just that easy. The gasket is hopefully still there. Nope, it fell in the tank. Where'd you go? Dude, where did it go all the way in? Where is it? I think it's in the tank. Yeah. Okay, let's pull this back out again. Wow. The stuff that is stuck on this pump just from dipping it back in that gas and then taking it out. Okay. Now I get to go fishing in it. Oh no. I don't know where that gasket went. I'm gonna turn the camera off now. No, don't sit on that. You can't see this, but when I point a light at this mirror, I can tell it's right there. You know, in all these stupid pump modules I've changed, I have never had that happen before, ever. Of course, it had to be this one. I got it. Let us never speak of this again. The time the seal fell in, the pump somehow maneuvered perfectly into place. Now that I've got it here, it won't go back. It just won't. And I'm sitting here fighting it. Pulled it back out again. Good thing I did, because it somehow shredded the stupid sock. Strainer, whatever you want to call it. So now I'm going to put that other one, which smelled just as bad as this, back on. And then I'm going to wedge it in there again and probably ruin that too. Why did I volunteer for this? Why did I think this was actually going to be fun? It's back in there, and I hated every moment of it. That whole my neck hurts thing, not a joke. Does YouTube offer healthcare? Asking for a friend. Okay, if that worked, when I turn this jump box on, fuel should come spurting out of that. And since we've already got the line off, we might as well purge the line and see what comes through. Here we go. There we go. Nice. It actually doesn't look too bad. Now taking bets on how long it takes that line to explode. All right, well, we'll get a few minutes out of it. Without further ado, let's see if this thing runs. Big money. Oh, it's gonna go. Nice. Nice. Listen to that unit. Oh yeah. 2.2 liters of pure, unadulterated anger. And it charges. Yeah, so as mentioned, the exhaust needs some work. Aw, the tack's dead. I wonder if it uses one of those separate tack control boards like early Dakotas that always fail. Battery gauge works, and it's accurate. Oil pressure gauge is giving us lots of good news. Fuel gauge is still below empty, and frankly, I'm not surprised. It actually kind of sounds awesome. Needs a turbo though. Yeah, that doesn't smell the best. Well, let's just rip the Band-Aid off now and test some stuff. That doesn't feel good. How about this? Wow. Okay, the brake pedal, oh God, does something, but not much. Whoa, it idled itself up. I think the cooling fan turned on. No it didn't. Okay. Just keeps idling itself up and down for fun, I guess. Do I even dare? Yeah, I dare. Oh. They don't really have like actual wiping parts anymore, per se. Washer fluid? Negative. Okay, let's see if I can fix the brakes before we test it thoroughly, you know. It has no business sounding this cool. This is ridiculous. Oh. Well, okay. My usual approach is useless here. Maybe I just need to knock the rust off the brakes. Let's find out. In a word, no. This is not safe at all. I think the front left brake does something, kind of, but that's about it. Yeah, this is totally unsafe. Irony of ironies, of course. The front left brake is the only one that does anything, and it's got a donut spare on it. So yeah, that's a good way to speed up the loss of life thing. Well, we got to fully restore this thing, so let's take it back to the shop, put it up on the lift, and see if we can bleed the brakes or something. That might fix it. There's definitely fluid in the master, so there aren't any horrible leaks. This is quite hilarious, though. Coolest car that's ever been on this lift. No question. Also, it barely fits. It's too small. Don't worry about that stuff. Oh, there's a lot. Tom lost his water bottle. I found it. Here's what made the K-car great for its time, but terrible for our purposes today. CV axles. Oh yeah, front-wheel drive to try and keep up with the Joneses over there in Japan. It did what it had to do. The setup would go on to underpin millions of Chrysler vehicles, including the wildly successful Caravan. It single-handedly saved the company. Thanks, Ayakoka. I'm changing my name to Chrysler. Performance exhaust secret for your K-car. Just cut it right here in front of the axle section. A side dump, that would be great. I sprayed the bleeder over here on the passenger side caliper. Hopefully when I open this thing, we find a bunch of air. That would explain it. Let's see. Oh, no, it's full of fluid. Wow, yeah, not a bit of air. And actually, you can see the brake was doing something on one side, kind of. Also, the amount of fluid that came pouring out tells me this is not a line problem. So what's the deal? Okay, the rears may be a little more complicated. That bleeder's been cracked for quite some time and there is zero fluid here. There could also be a slight adjustment issue, I suppose. I snugged this self-adjuster like a lot. Maybe that'll do something. All right, I'm throwing up my hands. I'm out of time. I bled all four corners. I adjusted the rear drums. The brakes are still terrible. It does not seem to be a hydraulic issue. It doesn't seem to be a front brake mechanical issue. And the rear brakes are there too, so I don't know what the deal is. I just found a Federated Auto Parts bag, and guess what's in it? AC compressor clutch. Nice. That's a project for another day though. That clutch was purchased November 14th, 2002? There's a brand new belt too. And now I mentioned the exhaust system stuff. Pretty much everything you need to fully restore this car is right there. But I don't have time for that. The tach fixed itself. What a unit. Goodbye, barn find dust. Hey, can you find me some car wash stuff? I need the good soap for this one. Hashtag satisfying. That ought to do. Well, I needed a shower anyway. What, was somebody tap dancing on the roof? Every time. This is getting good. Hashtag transformation Wednesday? Oh yes, exquisite. And there you have it, friends. Not the revival you wanted, or the revival anyone needed, but the revival the internet deserves. The interior is still in need of a final detailing, but it did get most of the detritus out of there. There is kind of a pile of spare parts, but you know. I already know that if you survived the 1980s, you remember the K-car with love, adoration, respect. It's an incredible machine, and my hope is that this video will help introduce it to the younger generations. So please, share this video with your younger friends, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. Share with them the wonderment of the K-car. And when they say they don't know what that is, tell them it's basically a Toyota Corolla, but way worse. Well, that's gonna have to do it for this video. Looks like it's gonna rain soon, and I just hate for this sweetheart to get damp. My one regret here is I didn't get to take it for a real test drive, but you know, brakes, kinda need those. There you go. I hope you enjoyed that. No, you know what? I know you did. Look at this machine. I truly cannot wait for the next installment on this crappy knockoff of an 80s Cutlass. Until then, as ever, thank you very much for watching. And remember, the first commenter that tells me I have to put a 440 in this thing is going to the corn. Oh, hey, I didn't see you down there. While I've got you, I thought I'd let you know. We're introducing Dead Dodge Garage channel memberships. Are you one of those diehard fans that watches every ridiculous video I make? Well, consider becoming a member. It's a great way to support the channel directly and help me keep making videos on fine, beautiful specimens just like this one. Thanks for your consideration.